Hello, good day. And today we'll be looking at Git and GitHub. So this is a basic beginner guide for anyone who is willing to learn about GitHub or Git, or maybe has heard about it, or is trying to create his first GitHub project and doesn't know how to go about it. So this is a very beginner-friendly presentation that will show you step-by-step guide on how you can create a first Git and GitHub project. You're ready for this, and let's go. My name is Balogun Semeton. I'm a PHP developer at the Beacom Dev Center here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I'll be showing you how to create your first Git and GitHub project. So to get started, let's look at what we mean by Git. So Git is actually an open source version control software, and it's free, by the way. And it was created by Linus Torvalds in 2005. And what do you mean by version control system? So basically, this is a software that helps to track content, mostly code in this case. So mostly a developer that you're here, maybe I just starting out with development. And then Git is actually a tool, a software you can use to track all the changes you made to them, and then can help you save those changes permanently. However, for you to actually be able to track content, basically, you need a place where the contents are stored, right? And these are what we call Git repository. So Git repository, or let's say a repository or a repo for short, is a project that contains multiple files. In this case, code-based files, maybe your .html, .js, .php, or any other programming language that you've written your code, essentially. So for us to start using Git properly, we need to have a repository, and then we need to know where we're going to store and host that repository. So that repository can either be stored or hosted on a local server offline somewhere, or on an online cloud-based system. And some of those, the popular example of this cloud-based hosting platforms are GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. So, but in this case, we're talking about the most popular of these three, which is GitHub. And then we'll be seeing how we can actually host our repository and the Git project on GitHub. So working with GitHub. So basically, you have to create an account with GitHub first. So you just log on to github.com, and then you can create an account, fill in the details, and then create an account there. Then the next thing you want to do is to ensure that you have Git installed on your system. So most times Git is installed on your system. If you're using Mac OS, the Linux terminal, you probably most likely have Git there. And you can confirm that by just typing git dash or hyphen version, and then it's going to display to you the version of Git that you have on your system. But if you type that and then it's telling you that command is not understood or command not found, what you want to do is to install Git on your system using this command sudo apt get install Git. So that is going to install the latest version of Git on your system. And once you have an account with GitHub and then you have Git installed in your system, then we can just get started with Git and GitHub. So now let's work with GitHub project. So there are two ways for us to actually work with GitHub project. One is that you can clone a repository, an existing repository, to your system. So you create a repository on your system, then you clone that repo, which is basically a project, a folder that contains those files. And then you clone it to your system, and then once you make those edits, you can then commit them back or just push them back to GitHub, back to the repository in itself. So you just like update that repo since it was empty first, the one you cloned, and then you put that back there. And then you have a type 2, which has to do with a file, a folder you just created in your system, a project you worked on, which most likely will be in your case, maybe you worked on multiple projects, and then you feel like you want to host them now on GitHub, or you want to push them to GitHub now. So in this case also, there's a step just slightly different from the first type, and then we are going to both look at them. Now, the major thing with this is that if you clone a repository, typically it has been initialized already as a Git project. But in the case of the one you have in your system, it is not a Git project at all. So one of the first things you want to do is to turn that into a Git project by initializing it. But we're going to get to that shortly. In any instance, however, you want to ensure that the projects you want to push to Git or you want to install, you are in that directory for you to actually start inputting any command that you want to input. Ensure that you navigate to that directory, then can then make those write this command, put this command, and then make those commit changes. So without wasting any of our time, let's see how we can work with the type 1. So the first thing we want to do is create a repository. So after creating an account with GitHub, so you just you go to this page and then you click on the plus button on the top right corner of your page, of your own profile, and then once you click on that, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see new repository, import repository, new gist, new organization, new project, etc. So just click on new repository. And then you have a page like this. Okay. And then you're going to write just fill in the details. You can either make it public or private. If you make it public, anyone can see it. Anyone on GitHub can basically see the project. If you make it private, however, you can select the people that can actually have access to that particular project. Then what you want to do is to ensure that you check the initialize button. So initialize this repository with the README. That is very important. You should make this project, this repository, a Git repo. So ensure that you check that in after rightfully, then you can then create a repository. Then what you want to do next is after creating that repository, you want to click on the code icon on the top right corner, and then it's going to give you a drop-down menu that contains the HTTP address of the repository. So what you want to do here is then copy this repo, because now we want to clone. Then you go to your terminal or command prompt if you're using Windows, terminal if you're using Mac OS, and then you want to type in this command, Git in the particular directory you want your project to be cloned. So you write Git clone, then you input the HTTP address, then you enter. So this is going to then clone this repository onto your system. So with this, you want to make edits, you want to add new HTML code or CSS code or JavaScript or PHP, Python, or anything at all. So after making those edits and then saving them on your local system, what do you want to do? What you want to do is commit. So you want to commit. So what do you mean by commit? Commit is basically that you want to push it back to Git. We want to update our Git repository. We want to store it on the cloud and on the GitHub basically. So there are 4 steps. So we have the status, the add, the commit, and then push. So we're going to go through this one after the other. So now the first thing you want to do is to check the status. So when you type git status, it's going to give you a list of modified files. Basically, it's going to tell you, okay, these are the new modifications that have been made, this and this, and then you're going to see that listed there. And then what you want to do after seeing the status is to now put them up for staging. So you want to add them to that. So you want to add, okay, let's say you've added a .html file or a .css file, then you now type in the command git add, then the file name. Let's say my project.html, my project.css. Or you can just do git add dot. This is going to add all the files and put them up for staging. So after staging, what you want to do next is commit. So now after we stage, you want to commit, but then we now add a message here. So we type the command git commit minus, and then you add a message, okay, my first commit or changes to the HTML file, something like that. So just put in your message just to be able to let whoever is going to see the project know that this is the changes that has been done to this particular repository. And after you commit, then you want to push to GitHub. So however, to do this, we have to push our files to remote. So remote is just a duplicate instance of our repository that's saved somewhere on the remote servers. However, we need to know exactly the remote name. So, but in most cases, the remote name is origin. However, to be sure, you can just type git remote. Then you're going to say the name, basically. And most times origin, like I said. Then once you know the remote name, then you're going to push to by typing in the command git push remote, git push origin, then to master. Then with that, we are being able to successfully create our GitHub repository. So type 2, in this case, you just create a new file. It's on your system. You've been working on a couple of projects, then you want to push them to GitHub. Of course, remember to always create an account for the first time. Make sure you are in the project directory on your terminal or the command prompt. Then you want to follow these steps carefully. So like I said, you want to create a new repository you want to create a new repository on your account in GitHub. Then open your terminal and navigate to your project directory. Then you want to initialize this project now. Okay, so remember, because it's not an originally Git project, it's on your local system, you want to initialize that. So you type in git init and it's be main, so that we initialize that. And then you want to put them up for staging. So you put git stage off. So git add then dot, that will add every single thing. If you want to on stage, just git reset head and then the name of the file basically. So that's the staging. After staging, you want to commit it. So you type in the command again, git commit -m or -m, then you put in your message, any message of your choice. My first commit, my first Git project, or this is a Twitter clone or server thing. So once we commit, we want to like push. We know we've created a Git repository, right? That is empty of there. So we want to push there. So what we want to do now is copy that URL. After copying the URL, we want to type git remote add origin and then the remote URL. Okay, and then once we do that, then we verify it by typing in the command git remote -v -v basically. And that we verify the remote URL. Once we verify that, we then push it to the repository by typing git push -u origin main. So this will push all the new file that you've created. And then here, congratulations, you have your first GitHub project or repository by just following the steps. So simple and should just be direct and straightforward. So in conclusion, Git is an open source virtual control system that is used to track all your files that you've created, your code-based files. And then GitHub is basically a place where we store our Git project. And then in this presentation, we've learned how to push and create our first Git repository in a step-by-step manner. That should be helpful. So thank you for listening to this presentation. If this was helpful, you can give this a like and subscribe to my channel. So my name is Balogun Semeton, and I'm a PHP developer at the Bincom Dev Center. Thank you for listening.